But it looks mean to me. Okay, I apologize then. And now we have responding 3 police officers for someone doing constitutionally protected activity. And what the people that I follow, which is a First Amendment audit people,
I'm familiar.
nothing you do in business, when a business wants to know are their books clean, they hire an outside firm to do an audit.
Okay.
When the citizens want to know if their government is constitutional, they do a First Amendment audit. That means they break no laws. All they do is exercise their First Amendment right to free press. Okay. It's one of the foundational things in this country.
We're familiar.
And if I come across, I think he said that I came across the kind of short or whatever.
Confrontational.
I apologize for that. The record will show otherwise. I apologize for that. Did I not?
But remember that I said that.
Like, I apologize to him for that, and he did not accept.
Sets people back about you with it.
Yes, most people are willing to have their rights trampled in this country. Especially those that are being imported in this country en masse, especially the illegal ones being imported in this country en masse. And let me ask you at this point, have I committed any crime?
Besides the smoking marijuana now. But you didn't do it out here in front of me, so no, you're good.
I've had no marijuana today.
I smelled it. Maybe it was on your clothes from yesterday. I don't know, I just know I smell it.
Maybe it's somebody around the corner smoking it.
Could be, but it wasn't strong enough really.
Well, I don't know what it was. I can't explain it then, but I can say it wasn't me.
Either.
So aside from what I would call
so I'm wondering, are you finished with your audit and everybody can move on now?
After I told this gentleman earlier, because in my audits, I only got mandated to be, but I try to be 100% honest. I try to get a message across that people are open to, and obviously, based on his words, I need work on that. But I don't know a better way to do a First Amendment audit than to take a camera, walk around with it, and when someone approaches you, because I didn't approach them, they approached me, to ask a few questions. That's all I did, that's all I tried to do. I tried to be gentlemanly. I've had very high positions in the private sector where I've managed teams. I put together huge ERP infrastructure systems, very complex work, takes a degree, and so I'm not some kind of nutcase or something like that. And I asked them questions much like I would conduct myself in business, and it was my opinion that they escalated. Well, and then I show up and I ask if I'm being detained, and I don't get a straightforward answer right away.
I gave you a straightforward answer.
I think I had to ask a question. The record will show.
Enough. Your record can
I think I had to ask three times.
We have our records too. It is what it is.
I nicely asked this person who was taking up easily a third of the sidewalk to move so I could walk through. He refused.
We're just being repetitive at this point. Like you said, your evidence will show whatever it will show.
Sir.
So, are you finished with your audit?
As I told these gentlemen, I believe I'm finished after y'all leave.
No, I'm going to stay in to make sure you leave.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
after that, oh well.
And I'll tell you what I told them as well, because my intent is not to be illegal in any way. Last thing I want to do is go to jail.
But
the first thing I want to do is for people in this country to wake up, realize the situation we're in, realize the danger of it, because we're talking about a country that is heading in a direction like communist countries. That's no lie, no exaggeration.
We
just had ABC News anchor off mic admit they had the pedophile ring story with evidence, pictures, witness testimony, and they buried the story. That's the state of this country. The enemy of this country is not this person. The enemy are those who are letting pedophile rings
again, like I said,
get away scot-free. The enemy are those people that are harassing citizens that are committing no crimes while letting pedophiles get away scot-free. There's no logical explanation why, when they have Epstein in a jail cell, 2 cameras go down, the 2 regular guards are replaced, they're caught illegally editing records, and what happened? The warden was transferred. You don't believe me? I respect that. Go and research it yourself.
We talked about that on Thursday.
What happened in the Smollett case? Was justice served?
We talked about that also. I don't have the answers that you're looking for.
Did you research it?
I didn't get time yet.
Fair enough, sir. I appreciate you.
And I only had a 24-hour window for my favor.
You get a favor back, that's right. I thought that was fair.
That was fair.
And I appreciate you smiling now. Really, this is the interaction I want.
Right, but you don't come off that way.
That's your normal look.
The problem, Rich, isn't what you're saying. It's how you come off.
Give me a little leeway. I'll work on it. I'll work
Well,
on it. This
here's
isn't
the
my
problem.
last audit.
Rich, if
I'll
you
work
had
on it.
smiled at all when we opened the door, this wouldn't have been
Yeah,
a
no
problem.
offense, you're kind of coming
Really?
off with the Unabomber
Well, let
vibe,
me ask you
with
this.
the phone,
Let me ask
the
you this.
sunglasses.
When someone makes a mistake like I
Wow.
did, as you described it, what should I do?
Hi, how are you today?
I mean, do you
And then
think an
just
apology
explain
would
what
be
you're doing.
appropriate?
No, just, hi, how are you today?
No, I
And
mean
just
where we are
explain what
right
you're
now,
doing.
right here, right now. What would be appropriate for me to do?
Smile and go on your day.
Okay.
Is that fair?
You don't think an apology would be appropriate?
It's not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
If I
necessary.
offered one, would you accept it?
I assume so.
If you didn't accept it, and I meant it sincerely, would that be a bad thing?
I don't see why. I mean, it might make you feel bad, but it's not a bad thing.
The reason why is because when someone apologizes or trying to put an end to something that in the past, when someone accepts that apology, generally it puts an end to it. When they
Right.
don't accept the apology, it's like they got a chip on their shoulder, and whatever they felt was wrong to them, it's still outstanding. Now I apologize to this gentleman directly on unedited audio videotape. He does not accept my apology as a public servant when I did nothing wrong based on the law's eyes. So, I don't think that's the way public servants should
First thing you
behave.
got to remember, and just because you don't think you offended someone doesn't mean they're not offended.
You mean their feelings?
Yeah, and just
Feelings
because
don't trump the Constitution.
doesn't. Oh, I understand that, but your apology's not in the Constitution either.
Good. That's right.
There's nothing in the
I did that on
Constitution
my
that
own
says
free will.
anything about accepting an apology
To hand
or
out
not
an olive
accepting an
branch
apology.
where I think you all are the offenders. I went the extra mile to apologize.
Why offend you? Didn't do anything.
Well,
I think that when someone asks you if they're being detained, you ought not try to give different answer than the
I had to
question
think,
they're
I had to
asking.
think about it for half a second.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have anything negative against you. I
We
don't
haven't
think
had any
I don't
issues.
think 3 police showing up for a person that's exercising a constitutionally protected activity is appropriate. In fact, I would say it's not only not appropriate, it's an intimidation tactic.
I can
And
give
it's
you
a
a
Title
reason why
18
it's
violation.
appropriate.
Excuse me, sir, I was speaking. You just cut me off halfway through my sentence. Did you not?
I can give you a reason why it is appropriate.
No, sir, I asked you if you just cut me off halfway
I
through
did
my
cut
sentence.
you off, absolutely
Okay.
I did. But I can give you a reason why it's appropriate for these gentlemen to be here, and it involves myself.
I'm not talking with you now, sir.
Okay, because the last time I
Sir, I
listened
do
to
have
the
more
end, I
respect
spoke.
for you probably than I've been able to display. And I can tell you, I went up to the PD department today. If you got cameras or whatever, and see the video of me walking all around. I did 100% effort to stay in a publicly accessible places, to obey the law, and I believe I did. I was going to ask for 2 complaint forms and 1 commendation form. Because I'm not anti-police, I am anti-bad police. And I think when police intimidate people out of their First Amendment activities, that those are bad things to do. And,
Well, the office will be open tomorrow, and also the staff that can take that complaint.
okay, thank you.
So just come up tomorrow. Today's Veterans Day, so everything's kind of not the usual routine.
Fair enough.
Easy enough.
I hear you. Thank you.
Okay. So we finished then.
I'm finished with speaking with him. I'm glad to speak with you if you want to converse more.
I think I'm good for now. I
Awesome.
appreciate it. When I get a chance, I am gonna look up that stuff, but it's been a busy day. Haven't had a chance, and
I totally understand.
I'm sure we'll talk again at some point.
I imagine we will. And hopefully it's under better circumstances.
Well,
I can
don't
say
think
that
this
I'll
had
try
to
to
be
go more
bad
of this.
circumstances, and I don't think it was that bad.
Really
The
wasn't.
circumstances, besides kind of upsetting the firemen because they're not, you kind of came off a little rough.
Well, you weren't here, sir, so you're going on hearsay. And I think that's exactly
No,
what
but
you
I can
should be
tell
doing.
from his actions how he feels.
You know how I feel? How
This
do I
is not
feel?
his normal demeanor and how he normally talks.
I
so
told you
know that.
directly that I felt harassed by this person, so how do I feel? You didn't mention that.
Yeah, but,
You only
you're not
mentioned-
on his doorstep.
meant-
You're on his
as in-
doorstep.
as
He's
in-
not on yours.
Well, let's be clear about this.
If he showed up at your doorstep, you would be.
See, that's the exact kind of argument that is radically unrighteous.
Well,
This
here's
is
the
not.
problem.
Let me
Here's the
explain, sir.
Be
Let
real
me just
quick.
explain.
Be real quick. There's ways to go about things, and that's the difference, Rich. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I'm saying how you're coming across and how you're doing it is. That's it.
Let me ask you
Otherwise,
this.
philosophically, we're good.
Are all the people who don't know where their government is on the First Amendment because they've never audited them, they're just kind of taking their word for it, they're just kind of assuming they're doing the right thing based on police who have a good reputation, they can never lie, we trust them no matter what they say. Are they doing the right thing more so than I am?
No, that's
Or
their
am I doing
choice.
the right thing by bringing the truth to their doorstep on their computer.
Right.
Now, sir, let me ask you this, because I want to point this out, because this is where I've lost the most respect for you. And I can say that I still have respect for you. But when you claim as a defense mechanism that I came to his place and that he didn't come to my place, one, that comparison is radically wrong for two reasons. One, this is a public place, my home's a private place. Two,
only
this place,
quasi-public.
let me just clarify without being cut off. This place is as much my place as it is his place. I pay taxes, and I would suspect I paid as much taxes as you. Maybe not, but that's not the point. I regress. This is as much my place as it is his place.
It's not.
Who's this owned by?
Delhi Township.
And is this a public place?
Yes or no?
Does the public own this? What's
You
the
don't
yes?
specifically, but the public does, yes.
So the public owns this. Am I part of the public?
You're a part of it, but that doesn't make it all yours.
Now, being part of the public, am I allowed to be in this public place I'm in right now without being harassed?
Well, the problem is you're not really being harassed. They wanted to know what was going on.
Dodge, sir. That's what we call a dodge. Now, I can tell you.
Tell me how you were harassed.
What my mom used to tell me when I was a little kid is that sometimes in the heat of the moment, I won't realize certain things, but I've always come back afterwards, after thinking about it, and apologized to the people I've wronged. And I'm hoping that you're similar, that you're giving this some thought. And I understand if you say, hey, the approach I'm taking is wrong, but I beg of you, don't let the approach or the messenger take away from the value and the essence of the message. And that message is that this country is being destroyed by what should be public servants. And I'm not talking about you right now. I'm talking, because I'm still auditing y'all. I don't know if you're good public servants or bad ones. I understand sometimes people have frictions in the heat of an audit.
They didn't understand what was going on.
Exactly, they don't understand
And
the
I didn't
First Amendment.
until
They
I
don't
recognized
understand
you and knew what
First Amendment audits. They don't understand that I have a right to do what I do without having 3 police officers come by, block sidewalk when politely asked to move. I apologize, sir. You're so polite and nice.
I'm just standing here, just keep taking everything in. How's that?
I forgot about you, I'll be honest. I
All right.
apologize for that. In fact, I have more respect for you than anyone over in these 4.
I don't care.
I haven't spoke with her, but sir, I'll say straightforward,
Don't care.
and that's fine, I'm going to say it anyway,
Don't care.
that when someone asks you to move from a public sidewalk,
I wasn't in your way.
you were in the way,
I wasn't
sir.
in the way.
Right in
That's
the
your opinion. And
Were you
mine.
right? Well, the camera tells what the fact
Okay.
is.
All right.
Were you right in the middle of the sidewalk?
I was sitting at the top of the steps.
Right in the middle? From
No.
left to right?
I was more probably about 48%.
Were you standing like you are now?
No, I was standing this way.
I see. Taking up kind of a third of the sidewalk, right in the middle. Politely asked to move. So,
You had
big-
60%
so I
of the
wouldn't get
sidewalk
close
to
to you,
utilize.
so my
Big
actions were
sidewalk, Rich.
misinterpreted.
You had 60% to utilize. I had about 40.
Camera
So you
tells
had the
I believe
majority.
the camera tells otherwise. Why didn't you move? Just curious.
I didn't have to.
So you didn't move just because you didn't have to?
Same reason you did.
Same reason you did.
I did move.
Okay.
I was,
But that was your
I was
choice.
trying to move down the steps and I ran into you.
But
You
that was
did
your
run into me.
choice.
Well, I mean, figuratively, I walked to where I thought you were obstructing the sidewalk, where you might feel
It's not a
threatened
sidewalk.
because I'd have to get so close to get by you.
It's not a sidewalk.
I've been corrected.
You have.
I think you have the potential to be a YouTube star.
Thank you.
Rich, where are
I
we
think
going
the
from
high
here?
police has the potential to receive tens of thousands of phone calls about you.
Good. I'm glad.
Rich, where are we going from here? We done, or what have we got?
I'm going to go about my day as I am
Okay.
right now.
Well, I say you go about your day. I think
I'll
we're
let
going to go
y'all
about
go
our...
about your day.
Hey, we have to go to the public. We have
All right.
to discuss.
Be safe.
Yep,
All
thank
right.
you.
All right.
All right.
So this
I
isn't.
believe Adam's
this
going to stay with me for a while, and
I don't have that kind of time, Rich. I wish I did.
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I gotta run.
Yep. So I kind of need to wrap things up too. This is not typically considered like the public area.
But it is.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to
They
that.
told me I was legally allowed to be here. If at any time you see I'm committing a crime, please let me know, and I'll instantly.
No, but I would like you to leave for now so that I can leave.
Okay.
I'm asking
The
you.
other thing I'll say is
Rich,
if you
I'm
ever
asking
have
you.
need to take me into custody, sir, I will never
You give me
resist
12
with
there,
force. Never.
But I'm asking you to vacate now, or at least go to part of
Right,
the more
give me 12
public
there,
area
that's my
than up
unit,
here,
and I'll be
so that
out.
we can leave and
5,200
go on and
bucks.
do our
I'll
other
That makes
things.
that more public
for
than
a
this.
It's a parking lot.
shoplifters.
This is a patio for the firemen to eat.
I was told I was legally allowed to be up here. Are you saying I'm not?
I was just asking.
So are you asking to intimidate me out of my right to be here?
I don't think I've ever been deemed intimidating. I'm not one of those 6-foot police officers that's 300 pounds. I'm not intimidated.
I don't
by
believe
it.
I have the right to go and tell someone to get off public property, and I don't think you have the right to either.
Well, I have a badge.
Yeah, badges don't grant extra rights.
No, but it's not an extra right. I'm simply asking you to now vacate to the more public area.
You're asking me to get away from somewhere I'm legally allowed to be. Why are you making the request to kick me off of public property?
Because I don't feel like this part is public property.
Okay, so I will then.
Does that make sense?
No,
Like,
I think you're making it up because
I feel like this
the
was
people
built
that have,
for the
people
firemen,
that
not
are-
for the public.
The people that are in charge of this area, as I understand it, told me I'm legally allowed to be here.
Okay, but they're not here, and they gotta leave, and you know,
So you
in
wanna
the end,
contradict
I'm
what
not
they
gonna
say?
physically remove you.
So this is stuff
I
that
just
citizens
simply
don't
asked
like.
you.
Patriots don't
Okay.
like to be kicked away from somewhere they pay for that they're allowed to be.
Well,
That's like me telling you to leave.
I simply asked
When I
you.
asked you to, well, will you leave?
It's
See,
my
so
job to be here because they called me here.
I'm not going to have any negative feelings because you won't leave because I asked you, and I hope you won't have a negative feeling toward me because I'm not leaving when you ask me.
I kind of wish you just would, and we could be done for the day.
You know what? If you all, because what you've done is you've raised my suspicion level that this township doesn't respect the Constitution, and had I gotten what would be constitutional reply, they come out, they're nice to me, they treat me like I'm their boss because I pay their salary indirectly, or that they don't
I don't
raise
think
their
they're
voice,
obligated to do that.
or they don't try to get me off of private property.
I
If
don't
this
think
is
they're
truly
obligated
private,
to
you
do
know what
that.
they should do? Put a little sign down there that says restricted area.
Well, we'll talk to the township administrator when he's in tomorrow, see how he feels about it. Because ultimately, he'd have the most authority besides the trustees on how they want to deal with
I
it.
understand you have a feeling that I shouldn't be up here, and I understand that you would have a desire to enforce that feeling regardless of law. That's what it seems like, and that you're holding yourself back so that you don't get stuck with some kind of accountability for doing something
No,
wrong.
there's not that at all.
So instead of making it a
It's
lawful
my opinion
order,
that you shouldn't
instead
be
of a
up here,
lawful
but in
order,
the end, I'm not going to physically remove you
making it
over
a
it or anything
request.
like that.
that's right, because you know what I see on a regular basis daily? I see law enforcement escalating legal, peaceful
But
situations
I simply
into
asked you
illegal,
who's escalating.
violent ones.
I
And I can
asked you
say,
and you refused.
I can say in that regard, this township has passed. You have not committed violence upon me. I can say that I've seen hundreds of videos where this exact scenario was escalated by law enforcement to violence, and I can say, from what I've seen, roughly 50 of those, they get reimbursed through a lawsuit. That's not what I'm after. Now, you know who pays those lawsuits?
Taxpayers.
The innocent taxpayers that committed no crime. You know what happens to the criminal that escalated a legal, peaceful situation into a violent, illegal one? Well, it varies time to time, but most often it's either an internal matter, slap on the wrist. In the worst cases, they're fired, or excuse me, in the worst cases, they didn't get prosecuted under law, given preferential treatment. But in near worst cases, they're fired, only to get rehired at a different department. And sir,
But this isn't
regardless of who you are, I mean, here's what I want to do. I want to expose the dirt in Delhi. You know there's dirt everywhere. And I want to get rid of it. And you should be on my side on that.
Well,
If you have a dirty
again,
cop you know
I don't
of, let
think
me
it's
know
what
about
you're doing, it's how you're going about it a little bit.
it. And sir, all I'm saying is that
Yeah, we
it's more
differ in opinion.
important to hold people to account than to not hurt their feelings. That said, it's important not to be hurting people's feelings. So I'm going to try and work on doing it better. And if you got pointers, I appreciate that. You weren't here, so you didn't see the video. Maybe you can see it on YouTube. But I thought I was professional with them. I thought I was kind. They came out with an attitude. When I said, am I allowed
They're
to
not
be...
used to that.
Let me rephrase it. I was standing roughly where he's standing, facing the door, talking to him. And I said, am I allowed to be here? And the reply was no. They told me I was not allowed to be in what they've now told me
Yeah,
I am allowed to be
I
in.
think this
a
is
public
more of a
area.
restricted access kind of place, like I said, because the purpose of this was not built for the people. It was for the firemen to have a place to come outside and eat their lunch, as opposed to like the parking lot or the
Public
lobby
entrance.
and
The
different
public
things like that.
entrance. There's other
Yeah, this is not a public entrance.
I didn't go in there.
I'm just
Okay,
saying.
fair enough.
That's one of the things that, in my mind, helps deem that this is not the public part of the building.
Well, sir,
because it wasn't its intention and how it's set up. The public park comes in through the front, which is more secure and different things like that, and not attached to like the common area where these guys eat and different things like that.
well, I would challenge that, sir.
You can.
As a logical,
I figured you would.
intelligent thinking person, I would think this might be an area where police and citizens might sit down, or I'm sorry, where fire people and citizens might sit down and over lunch, maybe over a meal, or maybe outside where they can get outside from their inside work, have a discussion. Now I know that's private. You know how I know? Because there's a security box there, and I believe it's a locked door.
It is.
Now this area, there's no sign. Doesn't say restricted area.
Fair enough.
Doesn't say private. Doesn't
Fair
say
enough.
anything like that. Everyone that I've talked with so far, except you, tells me this is a public area.
Okay.
And
Again, maybe I'm wrong in my opinion. That
and
was
I
my
respect
opinion.
That. I respect that, sir.
It's just simply my opinion of it, how I see it.
And the
But I
difference,
haven't tried to invoke my will over you over it.
and that's the difference between you, a real, reasonably good cop, as I understand it, and a bad cop.
Feel like I am?
Had I had violence committed upon me today, I would feel like you all violated law.
I think so.
The bigger officer that was standing here today, I thought he violated his duty.
That's
Everyone
your
else been professional. He was blocking that area. I think the camera
I
shows
think there
it.
was plenty of room
He's
to go around,
He's a
but
big guy. And there was plenty of room to go around, leaving inches between him and me. When I have multiple officers looking at me in a way that isn't positive,
that's
and-
why
and
crack a smile or come off a little nicer sometimes. It would go a long way.
there's a lot of police officers that would feel threatened and intimidated in that situation when you get that close to them, especially behind their back. And that's what I'm trying to avoid is that kind of situation.
Because you're not violent. You don't want to.
And I tried to
I get that.
I tried to avoid it by nicely asking him, could you move to the side?
Right.
He also, is it your policy to identify yourself?
I don't. I'd have to look it up to be honest. I believe we do give last name and badge number,
Yes, sir.
but that would be
That was
just
my
off the top
understanding
of
as
my
well.
head.
I believe it's not only your policy, I believe it's most likely law that you're, upon requirement, required to provide 3 forms of ID. I'm not sure about that because
I don't think
I
it's a
watch
law,
a lot
but I
of
think it's
state
a
law.
Yeah,
and I
but
know
remember
very
the problem with
state
state to state is they can be radically different.
Yep. So I get them confused sometimes. But,
Right.
but
Well, I would too. I mean,
he said it wasn't.
there's 50 different ones.
He
You know?
said it wasn't his policy to identify law. Now I would never do this, but there's good reasons why we have those types of things in place.
Okay.
I don't think you arbitrarily make up a policy that says you have to identify yourself.
Okay.
And the reason is because had I been out and I run across one officer,
But you
And
refuse
he's-
to identify yourself
and
as well.
I'm a private citizen, so that means I have privacy rights.
Except for you're not in privacy.
Right. Even in public, I have privacy rights.
Oh, well,
Public
can we agree to
servants,
disagree?
you don't think I have privacy rights in
I
public?
think that when I come in contact with somebody as a police officer and I'm working, that I have a right to know who I'm dealing with. Just fortunately in this circumstance, I knew you.
So you think you have a right to know who I am when you don't suspect
When
me
you
of a
just
crime?
show up randomly at the
That wasn't my question,
fire
sir.
department
When-
on their patio, yes.
When you don't suspect me of a crime, do you think you have a right to identify me?
There's a difference. You're labeling it in a certain way to make it look like because of a crime, and it doesn't have to be a
That's-
crime.
that's because it's a legal
if I'm
standard.
dealing with somebody, I can still request that on an incident as opposed to a criminal offense.
I agree you can request it, you can't mandate it, and that's what I'm asking you. Are you saying that you can mandate someone identify themselves that you don't suspect of a crime?
Well,
in public?
define suspect of a crime.
Well, there's articulable reasonable suspicion.
That's what probable
Do you
cause
have that
is.
here? No, it's not what probable cause is. I have you on video not knowing the difference between probable cause and reasonable suspicion. That's a major fail, sir. And I understand you may not, in the heat of the moment, you may not realize, hopefully I pray, that in normal situations you know that there's a difference between probable cause and reasonable suspicion. And you just stated that they're the same. And that's radically a wrong message to be sending. There's certain things that require probable cause, like an arrest, and there's certain things that require ARS, like identifying someone in public. Now, that's my understanding of law. It's my understanding that you're saying that, hey, ARS and probable cause you just said are the same, and that
I look at it as Terry
that-
versus Ohio. You technically can be in the cup, and I have a right to know who I'm dealing with.
That's not right, sir.
It is.
Here's why you
Read
need
Terry versus Ohio.
to identify someone, as I understand it, you need articulable, reasonable suspicion. Here's the other case law that most officers aren't read up on. constitutionally protected activity, like I'm doing, freedom of the press, cannot be used as ARS. It cannot be used. And what I think you're trying to do, I have to go back and look at the video. I think you said the reason you didn't force ID me is because you already knew who I was. Do you suspect me of a crime here today?
I don't know. I got called for them having trouble.
So you don't know
It was
if
a
you
trouble
suspect
run.
me of a crime?
Trouble runs can be any stretch of the
By
gambit. It's
default,
hard to say.
if you don't know if you suspect someone of a crime, then by default you don't suspect them of a crime. If you did suspect them of a
That's
crime,
not necessarily
then
true.
you would know you suspected them.
No, I got called for trouble. I'm here for trouble. That's what I'm investigating, and I have the
Okay.
right to know who I'm dealing with.
Can you articulate a reasonable suspicion of a crime I'm here committing today?
Well, they sounded like you were causing trouble, like menacing them.
Menacing. Do you know what the menacing code is?
321.
Do you think I was
321.
menacing them today?
I don't know. I wasn't here, and
Do you
again, I didn't see
suspect it?
that part. But that's what they like.
Can you articulate
they called
that?
us for
Can you
the trouble
articulate
run.
that crime? What was the menacing that I did that you want to articulate?
I think we've all agreed that you weren't trying to, but I'm telling you, that's how that fireman felt.
Can you articulate how I menace them? Because
I
someone
don't
feeling
need to
someone
because I'm
isn't
not arresting you for it.
because you can't. We were having a
We're not saying it
conversation.
was.
Nobody said you was.
What, committing a crime?
Correct.
Was I suspected of committing a crime?
Well, we got a call about the trouble. Don't know.
So we gotta show up and
And
figure
we're
out
dealing
what
with this incident,
Right. So when you get a
and
call,
so we have a right to know who we're dealing
when
with
you get a
during
call,
that
do
incident.
you assume? Do you assume
No,
that? Okay.
no.
So there was no assumption of a crime. So what led you to believe that there was ARS?
I don't know what ARS is.
Articulable, reasonable suspicion. This
Nobody
says a
said-
lot. How long have
nobody
you been
said
on
that.
the force?
22 years.
And you don't know what ARS is?
Well, I'm sorry, we don't refer
Yeah,
to
I've
it
never heard
like
it
that
referred to
in this area of the
Okay,
country.
that's fair enough.
Sorry, it's just, kind of like the government has a lot of acronyms that I don't know what they mean.
Do you still think probable cause and articulable reasonable suspicion are the same thing?
No, I never said they were the same thing. I know reasonable suspicion is,
Audio video recorded.
well
you
then,
didn't say that?
and I guess I didn't articulate myself enough.
Follow up what you already dealt with right there.
Let me ask you this. Are you now going to be on the lookout for me, trying to target me on any crime you can get me on because of what happened here today?
Believe it or not, even in small Delhi, we got a lot more to do than to just try to suppress people and stuff. I don't think what you're doing again is wrong. I think again, there's just a miscommunication about how you go about it.
Gentlemen, that other two trucks.
I appreciate that, sir. Because I've seen a lot of
But I
departments.
think it helped that I was familiar with you and knew kind of more what you were about.
Yeah, I think it's possible y'all might have violated law today if that wasn't the case.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying it.
I'm
would
just
have
saying
happened,
it
I'm
helped the
just saying I
situation,
suspect.
in my opinion, that I was familiar with it. And that's okay. Because in my opinion, we do more good than bad at it.
If somebody was black walking and talking down the street, committing
That's
a
not a
crime,
crime, sir.
would it be normal for 3 officers to show up if I called in
Depends.
saying
See, you
saying
didn't understand
hurt
what
my
we were
feelings?
dealing with before this. We don't normally come out and respond to calls. I'm investigating stuff that happened over the weekend, trying to catch up. They're on gun run and on auto accidents, and nobody was available. So we came to assist.
I'm sorry.
During which time,
There's no reason for
they
that.
were able. How do we know? Police.
No, you
People
don't-
call
you
the
don't,
police,
I
we come.
understand.
Okay.
There's just no reason.
I don't have that luxury to say I'm not coming.
The people I blame for that
So,
are those people.
Okay.
well, you
When
can
they
blame
knew-
anywhere you want. I'm
They
not
knew there
because
was
I
no
don't.
crime being committed because they admitted it to me on video.
Okay.
But they still called for armed
Right.
police to show up.
Well, that's how police are in this country. We're all armed, so I don't know why you're articulating it as armed police.
Because-
You could just say police. It's redundant.
Well, citizens are armed throughout this country, but government wants to take those guns away from law-abiding citizens.
Not me.
That's why. I
So
bring it up.
anyway, so that's why when they got done, they came to see if we needed anything.
Fair
And that's
enough.
how it happened.
Wasted resources, if you ask me.
But who caused that?
People that called you for when they
Or
knew,
maybe
when they
having
knew
came
there,
across to them. That you
when they
may
knew there was
have,
no crime
you may
being
have played a
committed.
small part in this, whether
they
you
knew
believe
there was
that or
no
not.
crime being committed, yet they called
I
criminal
don't think they
enforcement.
knew that and felt that way.
Then why, when I asked them on camera, am I committing a crime, did they say no?
Okay, I don't know.
If they
But-
didn't call
but
because I
obviously
was
they did
committing a
call.
crime, then did they call to intimidate me out of my
I
rights?
don't think so.
How do you know that? Are you investigating that?
No.
What if I want to file a report right now saying I feel like my rights are being intimidated?
Then again, like yesterday, or like I told you, tomorrow with whatever complaint
I
forms
can't
you
file a
wanted,
report right
different
now
things.
on site?
I'm not a boss. I can't take that.
Are you refusing the service?
If you're complaining on an officer, I can't take my own complaint.
Not an officer. I'm complaining that
If it's a
I
complaint on the
believe
fire
there are
department,
Title 18 violations.
Then,
if it's
then
on the
take
fire
that up
department,
with their chief.
you have to take it up with the fire department's chief. They handle the fire department, we handle the police.
Because there's no criminal act that you've told me about.
Title 18 violation is a criminal?
Title 18 is a federal crime, not a state.
Okay, fair enough.
Correct?
I believe so.
So if you have an issue with what they did, you take it up with the fire chief. If you have trouble with one of us, you need to take it up with our supervisors or our chief. That's how that works.
They told me to go and speak with the administration building about filing a complaint against them. So
Okay.
Correct. But
Well,
here's the
I'll
only
think about
problem.
which one is more better. Just so you know, if I show up there,
Fair
for
enough.
the
That
fire
works.
department,
That works
that's
too.
fine.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, fair
But
enough, thank you.
it's not something that I can reasonably handle for you.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yes.
And again, today's Veterans Day though, so nobody's at the admin either.
I
But
found
tomorrow they'll be open. Come on up. Nobody's refusing your right to do that.
You want to hear another tidbit?
Really, just
I'll
go
let you
work
go.
on my.
No worries, I just
go
running
work
time.
on the other things I was working on.
I'll let you go, sir.
Alright. You good, Rich?
I've been good the whole time,
Okay.
other than when I felt threatened by law enforcement.
I guess he's saying, "Are you ready to go yet?"
No, I think I told you earlier that I wasn't going
You're
to
just
be.
gonna hang out here.
I'm going to be the last one to leave here.
Okay.
Last thing I need
Well-
to do is have you all follow me trying to find a crime I committed.
Responded to 16 Chevy Road, taking place in reference to Abraham Ford, Chevy Edition.
I don't know that, sir.
trying to do.
I know you.
I'm telling you.
I know you
I'm
less
telling you,
than
I'm not
you
here.
know me.
I didn't wake up today saying I want to violate Rich's rights. I don't.
You told me
I told
that,
you
that,
it's
that
how
what
you
I
go
did
about it.
up in Pizza Hut was wrong. And what I was doing was a peaceful
Not criminal.
protest. You're telling me that peaceful
I
protest
told you
is
that that
wrong.
was part of how you come off wrong towards people.
Yep.
And that you could be wrong and not be criminally wrong. And that's what I was trying to get through to you about.
And I,
There's certain ways to go about it. Like all you had to do was Google corporate, but you didn't want to. Instead there was a scene and then we had to come out and then you blamed us that we came out. It's a little bit of a vicious cycle.
you know, what happened there was that the police came and did what Pizza Hut. First of all, Pizza Hut admitted they were wrong. They told me I didn't do any wrong. Well, police told me I did wrong. Second thing, they offered compensation for their wrong. I declined that compensation. Third thing, I was physically threatened by another citizen up there. I told the officer at the time that he was threatening. In fact, the person that was threatening me threatened me in front of the officer. Officer did nothing about it. What he did do, and I respected this officer, he went inside, got manager, name and phone number, said you call us tomorrow. I said that's all I need, I'm out. That's all that needed to happen. Now, in my dealings with businesses, that's normal. You know, if they break a contract, which they said they deliver something to my house at a certain time, they broke it for the third time. First two times they did nothing about it. Third time, I said enough's enough. Let me go out there and peacefully protest. Police came, did the right thing. Then months later, it's now being used as me as something I did wrong, negative. When
It was
peacefully
part of the
protest.
discussion that went with everything else that we were talking.
Reports from. Can I ask you, the person that made that wellness check request, did they make it to you directly?
Yes.
Okay, did they do that over a recorded line?
No.
What phone did they do there?
Mine.
Private phone?
No, my desk.
Your desk phone? Desk phones aren't recorded?
Not unless I record that.
I mean, if you're doing that this much, but I remember I can't
Mine's not like a public line that comes in, so it's not always recorded.
Good. So I apologize for any wasted resources, and I'm open.
Again, there's no apology. You're not
I'm
trying to.
open to your feedback. If you know a better way to get to what I'm trying to get to. And what I'm trying to get to is a government that's efficient, accountable, does the right thing, and respects their stakeholders. And what I want to get rid of is being kicked out of public places that I'm legally allowed to be in. I want to get away from public servants that would rather escalate a situation because he thinks there's enough room around him than understand a citizen that doesn't want to get close to an armed officer when the armed officers are saying negative things about him and won't even do the courtesy of stepping to the side. So you say I'm going about it all the wrong way. Do you think that's the right way? When I'm over here and I go to walk down the steps, he's right there in the middle of it.
What I think about
Easily
the
taken up.
situation isn't germane. You're gonna say your way.
You don't want to answer that one. You
I don't think
You
it's
think he
germane
was
to the
acting
situation.
appropriately?
I think as a police officer, sometimes you do stand your ground and you didn't want to move and you didn't have to move, just like you didn't have to.
It was an escalation technique.
Was it yours asking them to move?
No, because I felt like there was a potential bad thing that could happen if he didn't move if I tried to squeeze by him. Especially if I tried to squeeze by him and accidentally touched him. That could have resulted in me going to
You
jail.
don't want to touch
Some
a
very bad
police
things.
officer.
So what I did to de-escalate, I did a de-escalation thing. Asked him to step aside, so I had plenty of room where there wasn't risk that I would
There was still plenty of room.
No, if you saw, and hopefully the camera's
Hey,
seeing this.
he's a bigger guy, but he didn't block the whole step.
When I walked by him, I couldn't walk by shoulder to shoulder. I had to turn sideways to get by him.
I think you could.
And now I think you're in denial trying to defend an officer that did a bad thing.
Well,
You talk bad about me all day long, but when an
Do
officer
I?
does it in front of you, you don't want to talk about it anymore.
all right.
That's the thin blue line that we need to get rid
11,
of.
I'm fine, thank you.
You need that flag that you put the thin blue line on. Does Delhi Township do that?
No,
Respect. I respect that you don't do that.
I've seen that in the news.
It's a
where
disgrace
it was
to
banned.
the flag.
It should not be changed like that.
Y'all can make your own flag and it can be a respected flag, but when you alter the American flag, it's a disgrace.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, could I get your name and
Yes.
address?
It's 52. Last name Taylor. Taylor. Do you want a card? I'm serious. I'm not trying
No, I
to.
don't want a card, but I want
You-
to extend my thanks and respect
You can.
to you.
It's up to you, sir. Okay.
No, I respect you very much.
Okay.
That's all we
Dog
need.
at first.
We need officers that are respectful and willing to follow law and policy, and I think you just did. I appreciate that. I wish you a good day, ma'am. I wish you a
I'm
safe
sorry,
day.
sir. I don't know your name, but have a good day, sir.
Yeah, my name's Rich.
Okay. Have a good day, Rich.
Thank you.